So I had to reverse that. My colleague, Sakya, said that you need to do piggyback, superior knowledge, confidence, skills, and mental flexibility. I think this is, if you want to do liver transplantation, Sakya, it's not only for the piggyback. So we will discuss what is a debate. Sometimes in the debate there's a lot of passion and also fundamentalism. It's very difficult to say Lionel is better than Cristiano. Sometimes it's complicated, the decision. And also could happen also in the area of the standard and the piggyback. And when we ask, we have some talks in the last days with people. There are people who is fanatic of the piggyback or fanatic sometimes of the standard liver transplantation, but we are discussing the data, so information, what is published about this, not what we want to do or what we would like that this results in some advantages or potential advantages that at the end they are not proved. So this is a debate. Sakya and myself, we are debating. And at some point, probably we will have a point of junction. So it's like this connection of the river, very close to this convention center. It's a beautiful place in Geneva. I invite you, all of you, to see. And probably the river will go into France like the Rodano, the Rhone River, that probably will come into something like this at the end of the debate. So I'm pleased first to Sakya that he left Switzerland, and I have the chance to come here and to meet Henryk Petrowski, Beat Mühlhaupt, Selzner, and it was a good chance many years ago. And also met Pierre Clavien, who is my mentor since many years. And you know him giving talks probably, but Sakya and myself, we know him working really a tough worker. He was doing a lot of research. And the problem is that he trained me and also he trained Sakya. So both of us, we are very well trained, but Pierre, and probably will be a tough debate. And also Clavien coming, going to meetings, many meetings, even coming here to discuss political issues with Gilles Benta. And he always, with Beat, I remember once in the train, discussing in the first class, because it was not very noisy first class, discussing and playing the role-playing of the discussion. So you had some chance to play the role-playing, and that's how I did this debate in my hospital. We play the game a little bit. You are in pro, I'm con, so here we are, and we will try to show you a different view. I want you to keep this picture. We will come to this at the end of the talk. So this is the evolution. Now we came to an era with the standard is different the standard 20 years ago. And as mentioned before, there's the Beno-Beno bypass and temporary portocabashant. But we are not discussing, I think some of the data showed before is a little bit unclean because it's mixing a little bit Beno bypass, mixing a little bit benefits of the portosystemic Beno-Cabashant. This is standard without Beno bypass and without shunt versus the piggyback. This is how I think this. So I found this paper and said, okay, this is the best paper I can find because the title is exactly fits. Conventional versus piggyback of Caba implantation is the title. Implantation is perfect without Beno-Beno bypass. Okay. I looked at the study, and the study used the Beno-Beno bypass. This is what happened in the literature is contaminated all the time with these two strategies. It's very difficult to clean up all the data to give you a good quality information about this debate. And many of the knowledge is based of poor quality, I will say, series. One of the best is this paper of a group of United States when after 2,000 cases, this is a lot, they show the benefits and the lesson that they learned after 2,000 cases. As you can see, they divided in two eras, before and after, I will say, the new century. And as you can see here, it becomes a little bit confused because one of the benefits of the piggyback is that you are not using the Beno bypass. But in these large case areas, as you can see, even today, 11% of the patient has a Beno bypass. So that's why I'm saying this is very difficult to use the data for our debate. And of course, you heard Sakya, all the benefits are listed also here in this paper, and we will discuss if there are good evidence supporting these statements. The real thing is that we are changing the anatomy of the patients. When you put two vena cava in one patient, so you change really the anatomy. As you can see here, if you change the anatomy, you put the liver in two veins, then you open the right hepatic vein, you make a cavostomy, you create an ostium, neo-ostium with the three veins. So this is really changing something of the anatomy of the patient, and you leave the stump of the vena cava. Sometimes, as Sakya said, the liver becomes congested, then you have to make this new cava anastomosis, and then the blood doesn't know exactly how to move around the body, and then you become this circle, and this is confusing, this is thrombosis, this is something that probably will have some problem in the future. So the question is, there's strong evidence saying that one is better than the other one. And as you can see, the standard technique is simple, but the other one have a lot of variation. As Sakya said, you can use venobypass or not, but you have cavoplasty, 3 veins, 2 veins, side to side. You can resect the second one. So it's really different. You are comparing one thing against, like, I don't know, there are like 10 things, different things. It's very complicated. The menu is very, very, very large. Potential disadvantages of the piggyback. Okay, let's go for the first one. There are 2 main disadvantages. One is that the blood pressure will go down, so this decreased blood flow to the vital organs will end in problems with the patient, which goes to this IVC clamping. Let's look to this paper. This paper is from the group of Iran. It's pretty high number. They prefer piggyback as well, and they make the measurement of the pressure, and the drop of the pressure were equivalent in the 2 groups of patients. As you can see here, it was even a little bit lower in the piggyback, Sakya, but at the end, the p-value was okay for both techniques. Survival at the end, it was the same. In all you will see the survival is no change in any paper. And probably this is because when you do the partial cava clamping, happen this. If you clamp the 2 veins, a little bit lumen of the cava, but if you clamp the 3 veins, most of the time it's only 10%, maybe 0, maybe 20% of the lumen open, and the flow also reduce of the blood pressure. If you see the data of this comparative study, okay, it's not randomized, but this is data what we have no randomized trial for this. You observe that transfusion was the same, bleed volume was the same, and also the drop of the blood pressure. So no evidence, Sakya, for all this statement. Second, venous congestion and impairment of the renal function. You see, this is a nice trial from the people from Brazil. So, okay, they focus exactly in this point, renal function. So we move forward from 64 patients, they only enrolled 32. This is intent to be a randomized trial to focus on the kidney. And as you see, okay, you are right. So we see here that the piggyback is better because it's better function after, but again, it coming with the venobypass. So it's like confusion again. So the data is incorrect. So it's no difference. We don't know in this case because venobypass is a confusion factor to compare the 2 strategies. So we come back to this paper again, and we observe also that the creatinine from 1 to 7 days, the urinary output, requirements of dialysis, and mortality was exactly the same in the 2 groups. This was a group comparison of patients without venobypass. So this is another paper that you can see here, also from Brazil, who compare also 125 against 70 patients. And also, again, no difference in terms of all these variables, even the use of amine for blood pressure and problems with the kidney. So at the end, worsening of renal function, no evidence at all in the literature of this presumption. This is also discuss other problems, like, for example, problems with the artery. It's a comparative study, also artery, hemorrhage, bile leak, all the same for the 2 strategies. So it's no evidence saying that one is better than the other one. All the benefits, they are not proved. Then coming all my friends to Toronto, Selzner is also a fellow for Clavian, and so he's well trained. He knows how to go forward with the question. And then they did this paper. Is extremely recent paper. This is the largest series probably published, and they did this propensity match analysis of the series. As you can see, they do most of the time. The Toronto group and also is not doing the piggyback technique, and they create this side-to-side resecting the segment 1. Also, is a new technique that a few of them they are doing, and they show just in the first day a mild elevation of the creatinine without any impact in the clinical outcome, and all the variables, as you can see here, they are all exactly the same for the two group of patients without any impact of the technique. So does surgical approach matter? The answer is absolutely not. It doesn't matter at all. So no evidence supporting the potential benefit of the piggyback. So coming back to the paper from US, from Miami, so is there any evidence? Absolutely no, there's no evidence. And so we can add that the piggyback technique is probably the same than the standard, but I have to point out in 3 main factors why you should be very careful when you do a transplant to go for the piggyback technique. First, intraoperative challenge. If you see a large liver like this polycystic liver disease, to clean up all the hepatic veins, to move the liver to the left, to the right, this will be difficult. So I will recommend you not to go in the piggyback. This kind of peripheric surrounding of the segment 1, all around the cava, these are 2 cases. This is extremely difficult to go with the piggyback without clamping of the vena cava, because you can do the piggyback, but you have to clamp the vena cava probably because you have some bleeding. Then you can clean it up, okay. If you go for living related, you can do it. Or if you go for a domino, whatever, you can do it, it's okay. But for the standard transplantation, is no need for this, because you can go for the standard liver transplantation without clamp, without worsening of the renal function. Also, when you have a tips going into the vena cava, the clamp is not closing, so it's very dangerous. You have the upper cava clamp, it's not very well closed, so you will have a backflow bleeding, so it will be dangerous. And also when you have some oncological reasons, like for example, this patient with a multiple neuroendocrine tumor metastasis that was transplanted in our hospital. Second point, vascular complication. There are severe vascular complications. They are not mild complications. They are severe complications in the piggyback. This is a patient transplanted also in our center, 5,000 transaminasas. It was a necrosis of the segments 6 and 7. As you can see here, the patient it was worse fever, so he received a drainage, and finally he has a drainage. He was not operated at the end, but he has a necrosis, a sectorial necrosis of the posterior segment of the right liver because of problems in the outflow of the right hepatic vein. This is analysis of a large area, is also more than 1,000 transplantations in Spain, showing that intraoperative complications, mainly the acute Budd-Chiari, which is severe complication, is around 2.5% of the patients. There are some strategies that they recommend in case that you have this problem in the OR, like this cava anastomosis, retransplantation to make this neobed of the liver. Then you can have it after the implantation, so 1, 2, 3, 4 days after, and then it comes in the other problem that will come later. This is the ascites. This is 0.5 mortality rate, only linked with the piggyback technique, not because the liver didn't work, because it was a fatty liver, the donor was bad. It's just linked to the strategy that you decide to transplant. So they show also in this study that 3 veins, you should use always wide anastomosis to have a good outflow of the liver. This is a French study also collecting data of more than 1,000 patients, also showing that the Budd-Chiari is a problem, and when you have the Budd-Chiari, also the mortality is very high, and these major complications are around 4% in patients when you go for piggyback. But we just focus on the Budd-Chiari syndrome, that is a dramatic situation that can happen in the OR. You will see that this patient has 24% of mortality when this happens. Even when you go for this cava, you have the strategy, you put the neobed, whatever, or you reclamp, the mortality is extremely high when you have this Budd-Chiari syndrome. And they recommend, of course, as Sakya said, that you should go for a wide anastomosis to have a good outflow from the liver. Reason for hepatic vein obstruction, they are kinking, twisting, a small anastomosis. You need to have a non-stretch outflow of the liver. There are some strategies that you have to be careful to avoid this obstruction of the right vein. That's very well documented. problems in the outflow, in the outcome. So we make very happy all the radiologists with this, with the tip placement. So they are like saving our life. As a transplant surgeon, we're supposed to save life. I mean, because this is a dramatic situation when you have an outflow problem after surgery. Again, hepatic vein stenosis. This patient ends with 2 stents, 2 metallic stents. Of course, anticoagulation for life because of the technical problems. And sometimes the tips placement is very difficult because of the angulation of the problem of the outflow of the liver. Number 3, and this is the last one, severe ascites. This is a patient also transplanted with 3 veins, best outflow that we can give, but at the end the patient has severe ascites, weight gain, and finally we have to put a stent in the right hepatic vein, and the outcome was okay. This was in these areas. From New Zealand also documented that the obstruction is about 4% of the patient with this ascites, and the group from clinic also showed that in the comparative study of what they do, most of the time standard technique of liver transplantation, they show that the piggyback is a risk factor for ascites. They documented very well the hepatic venous pressure differences in these 2 groups, and also they show this gradient that is linked to the presence of ascites after transplantation. This is a nice study also from Brazil that they show that also in different scenarios of outflow reconstruction, as you can see, 2, 3 veins, cabo, whatever, the gradient is different. This is different and significantly worse than when you go for a cava replacement. In contrast, what Sakya said, that we have outflow problems with cava replacement. So this is our friends from Brazil that are supporting the Argentinian debate. That's good, that's good. So there's any evidence supporting this initial paper? Probably no. My practice today, it was a time about the 2000 that we were doing piggyback most of the time, and with the time, with getting older and older, and now today we are, most of the time, I would say 90% of the cases we are going for the standard, and we are limited with the piggyback for many domino, living donation, so many strategies that Sakya comments before. Conclusion number 1, when should we do a piggyback? If this is the same and you have three dramatic complications, so we should go when you, of course, when you have a bad anesthesiologist, of course, when you have to train a fellow, okay, come do, clean it up, tie all the veins, you had some time, you want to spend, you don't want to go back home. I don't know, if you want to spend time in the OR, it's okay, but don't say that this is for benefit of the patient. Say because you want to, and this will be fine. Nobody will say anything. Clavian always say to us, what simpler is better. And of course, to make the clamping of the big vena cava to 4 centimeters diameter is much easier than to clean all the hepatic veins that you can clean up in the upper surface of the vena cava. So each surgeon should do what they know how to do it. So excellent outcome you can have in both groups. Whatever you do, piggyback, the standard is the same, but be aware of the complications related to the piggyback. As I mentioned before, I have all these teams supporting me and say, Lucas, all the women that are in the meeting and in the committee say, Lucas, we are behind you. We will support you. So thanks to all of them. And of course, I ask you please to take a different view. And then you see 2 giraffes, and then if you change your view, you will see that there's an elephant there. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucas.